How amazing does this Portobello Mushroom Lasagna look? And the best part, we are going to make something that resembles a picadillo, a Latin-style ground beef, but we're going to make it out of portobello mushrooms, and you won't miss the meat. Sally, that girl, in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally, that girl, in the kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make a portobello mushroom lasagna. Yes, it is a delicious lasagna, but instead of using meat, we're going to replace the meat with meaty portobello mushrooms, because just because this is a vegetable lasagna doesn't mean that it shouldn't have that richness of a classic lasagna. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our portobello mushrooms and we're going to prepare them as if we were making a picadillo or a Latin style ground beef. We're going to give them plenty of flavor, and then we're going to use them as our meat in this lasagna, and it's going to be absolutely delicious. So I'm super excited to teach you how to make it. So let's not wait another second and let's get started. For today's recipe, you will need 30 ounces of portobello mushrooms, 6 cloves of garlic, 6 sprigs of parsley, 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 3 ounces of tomato paste, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, a splash of white wine, 1 tablespoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 2 tablespoons of dehydrated minced onions, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of paprika, 2 teaspoons of sugar, half a teaspoon of salt plus another half a teaspoon separate, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper plus another 1/8 of a teaspoon separate, 1 tablespoon of dried basil plus another 1 teaspoon separate, 1 tablespoon of dried oregano plus another 1 teaspoon separate, 32 ounces of ricotta cheese, 4 eggs, 16 ounces of shredded mozzarella cheese, 6 ounces of shredded parmesan cheese, some nonstick cooking spray, 2 boxes of no-boil lasagna noodles. You'll have some left over. 2 24-ounce jars of your favorite pasta sauce. Now, as an alternative to using jarred sauce, I will attach the link to my Chicago-style deep dish pizza with a mozzarella crust in the description of this video, because in that video, I teach you how to make your own sauce. So be sure to double that sauce recipe if you're going with your own sauce. You will also need a cutting board and a knife, a few serving spoons, some measuring spoons, some measuring cups if you're shredding your own cheese. If not, you can just use the measurements on the bags as your guide, a can opener and a teaspoon, and a couple of large bowls. And I'm using a deep lasagna pan. Notice how high the sides are. I'm going to want to put in a bunch of layers to this delicious lasagna, so definitely use a deep pan. You will also need a small bowl and a fork for beating your eggs, and you will need either a wooden spoon or your favorite spatula for stirring, and I'm using the long roll of aluminum foil because I am using a fairly large pan for my lasagna, so I recommend a long roll of aluminum foil. And you will also need a large skillet because we are using plenty of portobello mushrooms, and when they are in their raw form, they do take up a lot of space. So make sure you're using a large skillet. And finally, you will need a spatula to help you remove those delicious deep pieces of lasagna from the pan, and some oven mitts. So now that we have all of our tools and ingredients together, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 375 degrees, making sure there's a rack in the center. Then you're going to want to chop up your portobello mushrooms. So I bought portobello mushroom caps in slices, but you can buy them whole. You can buy just the caps whole. Whatever you work with is fine. Just make sure you cube them up into small cubes. Then, of course, you want to chop up your garlic real well. And then I also minced up my parsley. Remove them from the sprigs and chop them up real well. Then we're just going to put our skillet right onto our stovetop, and then we're going to turn on our heat to about medium. Then once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and add our extra virgin olive oil right into our skillet. And then we're going to bring over our chopped up garlic, add that in. And then, of course, we're going to just move it around, because what we want to do is make sure it releases all of its beautiful oils and it just starts to get fragrant. Remember, garlic can burn very quickly, so you don't want to take your eyes off of it. You just want to keep moving it around, and we're just going to do this for about a minute or so. Then we're going to just come right over and add all of those beautiful chopped up portobello mushrooms. Now, it looks like a whole lot, but remember, these will reduce as they cook. So it will definitely be just the right amount for this beautiful lasagna we're putting together. So now all I'm doing is moving them around a bit, just coating them in that beautiful olive oil and those beautiful pieces of garlic. And then I'm going to open up a hole in the center, and I'm going to just spoon in half of this can of tomato paste. So the whole can is 6 ounces, so I'm going to be using about half of the can, and I just put it right there in the center. And then right on top of that, I'm just going to give it a nice splash of white wine. And then I'm going to add some lemon juice and some balsamic vinegar. If you've seen me cook before, you know I love my balsamic vinegar when I'm making picadillo. So of course I'm going to include it here. Now, all I do is use my wooden spoon, and I just kind of break up that tomato paste and start to incorporate it with the mushrooms. And all I'm doing is just really incorporating the ingredients, just mixing as I go, because these portobello mushrooms will cook pretty quickly. So I just really want to incorporate all that yummy goodness, and then I'm going to continue to add my ingredients. So now I'm going to add that fresh chopped up parsley that I removed from the stems. These are just the leaves that I chopped up fine. And then I'm going to be adding my onion powder, then my garlic powder. Then I'm adding some paprika, just regular paprika. This is not spicy. And then I'm actually going to add some cumin. Yes, this definitely gives it a little bit of a Latin flair, but then again, I am basing this on a picadillo recipe. And then I'm going to add some minced dehydrated onions. Of course, you can use fresh onions if you like, but I don't think you need to. These really just work perfectly in this recipe. And then, of course, we're going to add some dried basil and some dried oregano. We do want to have those Italian flavors after all. And then, of course, we're just going to give it a little sprinkle of salt. And then we're going to add just a touch of pepper. And then we're going to add a touch of sugar. So we added plenty of things that have a lot of acidity, including that tomato paste. So we definitely want that sugar to help balance out all of the flavors. And then all I'm doing is I'm just incorporating all of these ingredients that I just added. I just give it all a really good stir, and these are coming together very quickly, and the smell is already amazing, super aromatic. So now all we want to do is lower our heat to low, and then what we're going to do is we're going to give it one more little stir, and then once we see that all of those yummy ingredients have incorporated, then we're just going to grab our lid and we're going to put it on our skillet, and we're going to take it a little off center just to allow a little bit of that steam to escape as our portobello mushrooms cook. Now, you see how that steam is building up on the lid? That's perfect. That's what we're looking for. And what we want is to just give it about 3 minutes, and then after 3 minutes, then you can uncover it. You can just make sure that liquid drips right back into the pot, and then you're just going to stir it one more time. Just bring it all together. It's looking beautiful, and you see it releases a lot of steam because there is a lot of moisture in mushrooms. So this part is really important because we really want the perfect texture for our portobello mushroom lasagna. So we stir it up really well, and then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and we're going to put our lid right back on, and we are going to allow our mushrooms to cook just a touch longer. We're gonna put it right off center one more time, and 2 more minutes should do it. So now it's been 2 more minutes. I'm gonna turn off my heat. I'm going to uncover my mushrooms and just letting that little bit of liquid drip right on top of them. And then they're looking beautiful. And look at that amazing steam escaping from our pan. They really smell incredible. They're really filling up the entire kitchen with a delicious aroma. And if you've ever cooked ground beef, it really does look a lot like you just made ground beef for your sauce. But they're mushrooms, and they're going to be meaty and delicious. So now I've let them cool for just a bit, allowing a little bit of that steam to escape. And now I'm going to add them to a large bowl, and I'm going to give it just another moment to allow a little more of that steam to be released. Look at how beautiful they're looking. And I'm telling you, they smell so good. This is going to be really, really delicious. So now they are in our bowl. And at this point, what we're going to do is we are going to be adding our tomato sauce. So as I said, you can either add 2 jars of your favorite tomato sauce, your favorite pasta sauce, or you can make your own pasta sauce. I will definitely include that link in the description. Just make sure to double that sauce recipe if you're gonna make your own. So we're gonna add our sauce right in to our mushrooms, and then we're just going to grab our spoon and we're gonna mix this all together. So now our sauce is ready. We've brought it all together, and it really does look like we've made a bolognese, but instead it's just yummy portobello mushrooms and delicious tomato. And so now we're gonna work on our ricotta. So we grabbed another bowl and a large spoon, and we're gonna add our ricotta right into our bowl. And then we're just gonna use our spoon and just break that ricotta down just a touch. Then once you've done that, what you wanna do is crack your eggs into your small bowl, and with a fork, you just wanna beat those eggs really well. Then once you've beaten the eggs really well, then we're just going to add those eggs right on top of this mound of ricotta. And then we are going to go ahead and we're gonna season. So we're using that extra portion that we had separated of salt. Then we're gonna add our ground black pepper. And then we're going to add a little bit of basil and a little bit of oregano. I know we have these seasonings also in our sauce, but I really like to include them in our ricotta because I really just want to have flavor in every single layer of this delicious lasagna. And so all I'm doing is using my spoon, and I'm just incorporating all of the ingredients. I want to create a smooth mixture, and I'm just trying to incorporate everything well and remove as many lumps as I possibly can. So now our ricotta is ready, and now it's time to assemble our beautiful portobello mushroom lasagna. So now I want to show you the side view of my pan just so you see it's a nice deep pan because I want a nice thick lasagna. So I've brought over my pan, and now I'm going to give it a spray with my non-stick cooking spray because I want to make sure that that lasagna releases well when we're ready to serve it. And I have all of my ingredients handy, my cheeses, my sauce, and my pasta. So now we're going to start with a layer of that beautiful portobello sauce that we created. And what we're gonna do is we're just going to spread it out using the back of one of our spoons and just create a little layer at the bottom. This really helps for our lasagna to come out complete and not break apart and not stick to the bottom of the pan. And so I'm using these oven ready lasagna noodles, which I absolutely love. There is no need to boil your lasagna noodles anymore. These work perfectly. Of course, if you want to boil your lasagna noodles and use your traditional lasagna noodles, that's fine, but I love saving this step, and really it's just as delicious. They work absolutely perfectly in this dish. So you'll notice I'm going to use 5 because that's what fits in my pan, and I leave a touch of space in between. They will expand. And then I'm going to grab this beautiful mixture of cheese and herbs, and I'm just going to spoon it over these noodles. And then what I'm going to do is, just like I did with the sauce, I'm going to use the back of my spoon and I'm just going to spread it out. So the sauce and this cheese, all of it has tons of moisture, and that's what's going to help cook these oven ready lasagna noodles. So you want to make sure to coat them really well. Then I just grab my bag of mozzarella cheese, and I just use the bag itself and sprinkle. You can grab some cheese with your hand, or you can do it this way, however you choose. I just sprinkle on a little bit of the mozzarella cheese, and I'm creating a little bit of a layer on top of that beautiful ricotta mixture. And then once I've done that with my mozzarella, then I'm just going to do the same exact thing with my parmesan cheese. I just grab my bag, I just sprinkle away. I just give it a nice little layer of cheese, and then we are good to go. So once we've used all of our cheeses, then that's it. I made one layer. I'm going to repeat the process and make more layers. I always follow the same rhythm. I start first with my sauce. I just sprinkle it around. Then I just spread it out with the back of my spoon. And then once the sauce is down, then of course, I'm going to add another layer of pasta, then another layer of that delicious ricotta mixture. Then just like I did before, I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle on a layer of mozzarella cheese, and then a layer of parmesan cheese. And then I just repeat this process over and over. So in my case, I ended up doing this process 4 times. So I used a total of 20 noodles of pasta, and there were 16 noodles in my box. So I ended up using 4 noodles from my second box to create that final layer of 5 pieces of pasta. And then, of course, just like I did with all the other layers, I finished off with a nice coating of mozzarella cheese, and then on top of that nice coating of mozzarella, golden cheese on top. So make sure that top layer is nice and cheesy. So once you've added all of that cheese, then our Portobello Mushroom Lasagna is ready for baking. It's looking gorgeous, it's deep, nice and thick, and it's going to be so delicious. You will not miss the meat in this recipe. So what you want to do now is grab your long roll of aluminum foil, and you want to cover your lasagna well, because we are going to put it in the oven covered. So what we do is, once you cover it well, you're going to place it in a center rack in your oven, and you're going to set a 60-minute timer so that it begins to cook. And then after 60 minutes, you have to carefully uncover that delicious lasagna, smelling great already, and then put it back in the oven and set another 10-minute timer uncovered. Then after 10 minutes, I set the broiler, and then I do not walk away. I put the light on and I watch it, because I want to get a golden color. And once it's golden, I pull it out of the oven and turn my oven off, and it is looking amazing, and it smells so good. It's melty and saucy and cheesy, and it really is going to feel meaty, although there's no meat in this lasagna. It is a vegetable lasagna, but it really feels like you're eating a meat lasagna. The result is spectacular. So as you can see, it's looking golden and delicious, and I'm going to grab my spatula, and I'm just going to cut a piece. I waited about 5 minutes or so, maybe 10, to let this just set just a little, because if it's too hot, you don't want it breaking into pieces. And of course, that first piece is always the most difficult one. So let's hope that this comes out whole. There we go. Oh my. This is a real big chunk of lasagna I have cut here. So I may not be able to eat it all, but wow, look at how gorgeous this is looking. Did not stick. It's perfect. Look at those beautiful layers. Wow, my mouth is salivating, actually salivating. Excuse the corny joke. Anyway, so my lasagna is ready. Gorgeous, delicious portobello mushroom lasagna. Cheesy, saucy, perfect, with so many layers. And really, it just looks like ground beef. It's so crazy. It really tricks the mind and the eye because it looks like a meat lasagna, but it's not, and it's so good. So now my favorite part, I'm going to cut a piece of this mammoth slice of lasagna that I have cut. Wow. I'm so excited to try this. It is looking and smelling so good. Wow, look at how gorgeous that looks. Amazing. It's perfect. It's so good. It's really, really delicious. And it really does have that like meaty feel to it. It's crazy. Portobello mushrooms are just perfect as a replacement for meat. They're so delicious, so yummy. So good. And they were seasoned so nicely with all of those delicious seasonings that I normally would use to make a Latin style ground beef, a picadillo. And it just really adds so much flavor. And the textures are perfect with all the different kinds of cheeses. It's just delicious. The tomato, all of it. It's just the perfect lasagna. You're going to love it. It's perfect for a meatless Monday or for any time. It's super, super tasty. Super yummy. You're going to love it. And you will not miss the meat in this lasagna. So how rich and delicious does this lasagna look? It's quite a hit because those portobello mushrooms, they really are meaty. They really give that meaty, thick, yummy texture, and it's a perfect complement to the cheese and the sauce in this delicious lasagna. It is a dish that everyone is going to love. Trust me. No, better yet, don't trust me. You're gonna have to try to make this recipe yourself. And of course, if you've enjoyed today's recipe, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Thank you for sharing. I love it when you share my videos, so thank you so much for doing that. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, don't forget to subscribe and to touch that little notification bell so that you get notified when I put up a new and exciting, delicious recipe, and travel over to the video tab and explore under there because there are tons of recipes already there for you. And if you're not already following me on social media, you can follow Sally That Girl in the Kitchen on Facebook, Instagram, and on Pinterest. And you can follow me as Sally That Girl FL on Twitter, Snapchat, and on TikTok. See you next time. Sally That Girl in the Kitchen.